the fun part too, and this is where open minds are really fun to work with. But we're recording and I'm playing fiddle and I'm thinking, I don't want to stop here. I just want to keep playing, And I remember listening to old time jams when I was a kid, and a lot of them went on for a long time, 20 minutes long. And I thought, I want to capture a little bit of that, and everybody's in a hurry these days, right? And I thought, let's take a break and just let some of these tunes roll and see what happens. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this project is that, yes, there's some 6-minute tunes, and so what? Have another sip. I don't know.
Cheers to that.
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour where musicians pick an album from their back catalog and tell the stories behind their favorite tracks in front of a live online audience.
This week we talk with renowned bluegrass and old-time musicians and scholars Chris Silver and Craig Fralin Evans. We revisit their 2021 album and book, Old Timeless Conversations, talk about the 15 years of emails that led up to this recording, and what makes a crooked tune. So pour a beverage, grab a snack, and kick back as we listen to music together here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, where it's always Friday and old albums never sounded better.
Hey, this is Anthony, one of your hosts, just popping in to let you know that we experienced some technical difficulties with Craig Evans' microphone during the first half of the program, and his audio is a little glitchy at first. Fortunately, it clears up for the second half of the episode, and the music and conversation throughout the entire hour is fantastic. And we know you're going to love this old, timeless conversation with Chris Silver and Craig Evans. Enjoy.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ehrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us Craig Evans and Chris Silver. So happy to have these guys joining us.
Welcome, my friends.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
And Connie joining us first to the party from Richfield. Hi, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
And Chris says, can't wait for the show, partaking in some Zinfandel in our BCLP pint glasses.
Ooh, that's a big pour.
It's a home pour. Whatever kind of week you've had, we feel you, so no judgment. Drink whatever you want, whether it's water or a whole box of wine. And I don't know what folks have going on there, but it looks like Joe says, after most dreary Tuesday evening, these tracks were the first thing I listened to this morning, got me up and out on with the show. That's right.
That's awesome.
The man after our own heart, Joe. And to kick off the happy hour, Craig, are you enjoying any kind of beverage over there?
Well, the beverage is just plain old water, but it's in a cow glass. So how can you beat that?
That's right. Well, if you're going to talk about old time music, you need to have some farmyard animals for sure. And Chris, are you enjoying any kind of snack or beverage?
Both. This is considered a snack and a beverage because of the calories. I think it's equal to a loaf of bread, it says, which is okay. But this is a Dale's American Double IPA.
Oh, wow.
It's very
tasty.
Good. Yeah.
That's a sturdy beer there.
Yeah. It's going down good.
Tony, what about you?
I've just I got the old box of red wine out tonight and enjoying a nice what is it? It's a Cabernet.
Yes.
So it's delicious.
Well, I broke out the good stuff for tonight. I've got an Oban Scotch happening tonight. So that's what and because it's, no matter what time of year it is, you might still have leftover Halloween candy. So I have a whole bowl, which I'd be happy to share with anyone.
Cheers to you, Ellen. Cheers to you, Craig. Cheers to you, Chris. And cheers to all of you out there listening. Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. This is our weekly musical happy hour. We hang out, we bring in our favorite artists, and we listen to records in their back catalog. And it's the best hour of the week as far as I'm concerned. Music always does the trick, no matter, like Ellen said, no matter what was going on in your day today or this week. I know this hour is gonna make it better. And I happen to know both Craig and Chris quite well from the local Minnesota bluegrass and old time music community. But Craig and or Chris, actually both of you, since we have both of you and you have a whole kind of different musical lives, how about we go from one to the other? Just a quick 1 minute kind of musical bio, like how you got into this music and kind of the kinds of things that maybe led up to the album we're going to listen to today. I'll start with you, Craig.
Oh, long story. I actually stumbled onto the bluegrass scene about the year 2000, and I had a business career, and I actually kind of got fed up with that, so I decided to try something different, and I went back to the music of my childhood. I didn't really play that much banjo for early on, but I found myself suddenly surrounded by a bunch of friends that I didn't even know I had.
Oh,
And again,
nice.
that was about 2000, and I've been card carrying, dues paying member since then, and I love both bluegrass and old time. I started with bluegrass, I went to old time, but the two of them go hand in hand. So finding Chris was like a really natural combination. Just put these things together and make them happen.
Awesome. Oh, great. Thanks, Chris. How about you? The quick overview here. I know you
Yeah,
have
I'll
a
do it. I'll
long
try to
career
keep it
here.
to a minute or less. How about that? I discovered this music when I was in high school, which would have been the mid 70s, and went to a Doc Watson concert, which is kind of the old time bluegrass thing mixed together. And my life was forever changed. I spent the next 2 weeks driving around Minneapolis trying to find bluegrass records in 1978, I think it was, and trying to find someone who could teach bluegrass or old time music. And I found Adam Granger,
Hmm.
studied with him, and then met more people. And the last 45 years, I guess, has been a joy of playing with different bluegrass ensembles, old time, Cajun, jazz. It's opened up this whole world of wonderful people in music, and it's been a fantastic ride.
Awesome.
Excellent. And, I think it might be helpful for some folks out there who are listening who might, know a little bit about bluegrass or old time music, but not everyone understands the differences, the nuances between old time and bluegrass. And obviously there's connections and overlap. But maybe if one of you wants to tackle that quickly of just sort of like a brief definition of or distinction between old time and bluegrass.
Well, I'm going to defer to Craig because he's got I think, the beautiful definition of that. I know you do because we've discussed it at length. But Craig, I'm going to give this one to you.
Okay, I'm going to give you the short answer. Otherwise, I have. How much time do you have in the rest of the show? Because we can go on for a long time.
Yeah, maybe the most concise version you can
You got a two sentence answer, and that's the one I want to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, old time music is community music where people come together and the focus is how good can all of us make this tune sound? It's a joint effort. When you go to bluegrass, it's like, I'm really good at this skill. I'm a great banjo player. I'm a great mandolin player. I can take this tune and look what I can do with it. So it's more about the former in bluegrass, where it's about the community coming together. What can we do to add to whatever we can add to make this tune sound best?
It's a great definition. That's kind of how I understood it too. Kind of that the performance versus maybe communal. And I had learned a little bit about your takes, both of your takes on this on this music through the album we're going to listen to today. And what we're going to be listening to for folks out there, this is called Old Timeless Conversations. I love that name. This was put out in 2021. And not only did they produce an album with amazing music, but also a 12-page booklet, which I'm holding up here, full of what was it looked like over 100 messages back and forth, where they discussed kind of their philosophies about the music and everything. And maybe before we dive into the music, maybe just give us a little rundown on how this project started and what people are in for in the next hour here.
Why don't you tell us how it started?
Yeah, I'll take the front end of that question. So I have to say, I've always, while I was a teenager, I was at a pickin' party on Nicollet Island. with at my friend Tim Hennessy's house years ago. I think that's where it was. But anyway, I stayed and picked all night with bluegrass players. But at the end of the night, it must have been 3 or 4 in the morning. On the porch, there was music that I wasn't that familiar with: 2 fiddles, a clawhammer banjo, actually fretless, and a bass. And they were playing these beautiful tunes that kind of almost hypnotic. They were played over and over again. And I thought, I'm sold on this. This is so cool, and these tunes were crooked and the melodies were so unique, and I'd never heard anything like it from a Midwestern kid here. But I always appreciated old time music, and especially old time. Well, I shouldn't say that. I appreciate it from all regions, but especially that southeastern part of the United States, where they, have kind of I would say the open tunings and the kind of beautiful mountain sounds. But that being said, I ended up playing bluegrass for many years. I ran into Craig and we jammed at the Minnesota Bluegrass Festival years ago, probably a couple decades ago. And, Craig is such an outstanding old time banjo player. And we just kind of gelled. We were just playing old timey tunes for quite a while. And at a bluegrass gig that I was playing at Delano's Pizza, Craig shows up with a box of old time CDs with all these amazing recordings that I'd never heard of. And he said, take a listen to these. There must have been a good 50 CDs in the box. I'm not exaggerating. Wow. He said, and when you're done, bring him back. And I did. I listened to him and I was blown away. And I said, Craig, we gotta do something with these tunes. This was like 20 years ago. And, everybody gets busy, right? So, but of course, during the pandemic, we had time to kind of think back and reflect. And I think I called you probably in the fall of 2020 when the pandemic was kind of hitting full force, or right before it. I can't remember. But anyway, I said, Craig, we should do an album. We should curate tunes that are timeless and beautiful and crooked, and we should do an album of tunes that we love, and then talk about this conversation that musicians have when they play music like this. So that's how it kind of started, and we got a list going, and we hammered out the tunes we wanted to play. We wanted to play a lot of that. We wanted to have our own spin on it and some stuff that we had arranged and written, but we also wanted to pay homage to tunes that were written during the Civil War era. Old tunes that maybe were, some of them, forgotten or just unique enough to have fun playing them. So that's my take on the beginnings of this project.
Nice. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think we should give a tune a spin here and let people hear a little bit more about that. And I know they're going to have lots of questions and comments for you, folks. If you're new to the show, this is a conversation, just like Chris and Craig had during the recording of this. We want to have it with you. So if you're out there, please let us know that you're there. Let us know if you're having a beverage on this evening. And if you have questions or comments for Craig or Chris, put them in the comments. We'll try to get to all of them before the end of the hour.
And the first tune we're going to take a listen to is Chinquapin Hunting. Chris, is there anything you want to say about this track before we take a listen?
Yeah, for sure. So this came, it came from an arrangement by Bruce Molsky. And what I appreciated about Bruce's version of this tune is just the energy. He was playing with another fiddler and a cello player he was standing up and had it strapped on to himself. And the energy was incredible. And I thought, this is a tune that I'd like to play, whether or not it's on par with Bruce Molsky, but we did our own version. It's crooked as all get out. There's 3 parts. It's epic. It's like, it's the stuff. So yes.
All right. Well, let the music do the talking. Everybody enjoy Chinquapin Hunting from Chris Silver and Craig Evans here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Yeah.
All right. That was Craig Evans and Chris Silver here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And Chinquapin Hunting, the name of that tune from their 2021 album, Old Timeless Conversations. And we are so excited to have them both joining us today for this special happy hour listening party. And Chris says, wow, that was cool. Almost like two songs layered on top of each other. Yeah, there's a lot going on. You weren't joking, Chris. And a lot happening.
I can't believe that this was not recorded live. That's what I want to say. You guys somehow managed to channel the energy and the back and forth of a musical conversation there. That's pretty special.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys remember, we were all at that point, especially as early on in the pandemic, and everyone was pretty, cautious about getting together, even good friends, right? If we're not in the same little bubble. So we figured out a way to say, okay, let's pass some ideas. And the cool part of this conversation was we would send a part, I'd send a part to Craig and he'd say, well, I think we should, modify it this way. And he'd send me a part and I said, do the same thing. Well, what if we did this? And we kept sending these, back and forth until we found a place where we were really both pretty happy with it. And it ended up being kind of a fun process because it forced us to talk about arrangements and the tunes themselves and who wrote them and what their original intent was. One of the things I'll point out too is that in this book we talk about, we have an ongoing conversation of what this music means to us. And Craig has a quote that he's put in here. It says, "Tradition is not to preserve the ashes, but to pass on the flame." And I have in my musical career at times been told that the version of a fiddle tune or a bluegrass tune is not the original version, or it wasn't supposed to be in that key, or it wasn't supposed to be played that way or this way. And to that I say, nah, it's the way I want it. It's the way I heard it. And I actually won't pick on anybody by name, but I was playing with a very well-known player one time, and we were playing a tune called, and we're preparing to do a show, and we're playing a tune. Now I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it was the way I learned it. Whistling Rufus was the name of the tune. And I've been playing it for years. I learned it from Tim Hennessy, and the person I was playing with said, well, it's not supposed to be played that way. That the B part's supposed to be 2 measures longer, or, whatever. And I said, well, that's the way I play it, and I like it that way. So I'm going to play it that way, and you can, bow out and pass on it, but I'm not going to, that's the way I want to present the tune. So that was the spirit of this project, I think, is like, we can't really break it. We can only offer our way to pass on the flame, as the quote says, So that was the fun part in my mind. I'm kind of maybe a black sheep in the traditional world, I would say, while honoring the old time tradition. I like to add my own little twist here and there, and I think that's healthy. And to be honest with you, it's a regional thing too, because my son lives in Appalachian region in Johnson City, Tennessee, and there are plenty of bluegrass players that play in old time ensembles. Plenty of old time players that switch over to bluegrass. Everybody's pretty happy with that. There's not this sort of division. And I think sometimes in the upper Midwest, there's a little bit, well, I only play old time music, or that's not the Tommy Jarrell version. And, oh, no, you don't play flatbed guitar on that, or you don't do that. And that's, I've been able to toss out of my world completely, that conversation, because I think this music is constantly evolving. And where it started, which was, well, you could talk about Ireland and Europe and all that, and Africa. But I mean, in our country, where it started was the Southeast, and they're fine with that, with this tradition evolving rather than just being stagnant or always being played the same way or always the same set of tunes or whatever. So that's the old time record that I wanted to make with Craig. And Craig was very willing to go along with my goofiness as far as arrangements go.
Yeah, it's a living, breathing tradition.
That's right.
And I love that.
And I also love that here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, we embrace the bluegrass and old time, and we want it to live happily together. And we appreciate all genres of acoustic and roots music. So we're really happy to be talking with Chris Silver and Craig Evans, two of the top folks playing this music. And I want to welcome a few folks who joined the party. Alan joining us from Texas. Great to have you back, Alan. And a lot of folks enjoying the show. Also, we were talking about the crooked term. Chris, you were saying it's crooked as all get out. And but Joe wanted you to sort of define that a little bit because he hadn't heard that term before. How would you describe crooked tune?
Yeah, I'm glad that Joe asked that question. So think about a blues tune, a 12-bar blues where you know there's 4 measures of one chord, in the next chord there's 4 measures, and the next chord there's 4 measures exactly. You know, typical kind of blues tune, right? Bluegrass, same thing. You know, it's pretty straightforward in a lot of tunes, great tunes, but you know, you'll hear 4 measures of this chord, 4 measures of this chord, 4 measures. So old time kind of throws that out the window and says, okay, we'll do 4 measures here, and we'll do the next part. We'll do 3 measures and then a half measure of the melody, and then we'll go back to the A part with only doing a half measure, or maybe even not even that. You know, maybe it's just a couple notes, and then we're just adding that on to the end of a part, but we're going to switch back to the beginning of the tune. And if you're just listening for the first time, you kind of, it's like being on a fast state fair ride. You know, all of a sudden you're over here. So that's the fun. And also kind of the frustration too, if you're trying to jam on some of these tunes, if you're, new to old time music, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this, where did this come in?
As a bluegrass musician, I can attest to that one. You learn pretty quick that you just have to know the song. Yeah.
So not only measure by measure, but also like parts, right? So you could have like the structure of a typical bluegrass fiddle tune would be A, you repeat the A part, B, you repeat the B part, and then you keep going and you pass it to somebody else and they do A, B, B. Well, old time could be 3 A's, 1 B, 2 C's, and that's what the part I actually really love about it, among other things, melody wise, but the timing can be, I hope that kind of explains what crooked timing entails. And to me, once you understand a tune to that depth, it's kind of fun to play because it catches people's attention. It's not just the same old thing.
The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Supporting the show with small and large donations every month, this committed group of music lovers keep the party going and enjoy special perks like getting first look at our upcoming guests and invitations to private after parties and live stream performances with the artists. If you'd like to learn how you can become a patron of the show, please visit patreon.com/backcataloglisteningparty.
And if any of you, I know a few folks, Christy just joined the party, joining us from Cambridge, Minnesota.
Christy.
Welcome, Christy. If you missed this at the top of the show, we were talking about how this album started during the pandemic. So Chris and Craig did not play that tune live together. Again, just want to reiterate that they sent it back and forth. And wow. Clearly you guys had spent some time with that tune for sure, to get those kind of sounds out of it. I do want to mention that we want to get to more tunes because we have like a bunch we want to get to for this project, and we could talk all day about it, but we want to give the listeners a little more music. So the next track you picked to feature is Cowboy Waltz. Is there anything you want to say about it before we start?
Yeah, so this is a tune that was introduced to me by a neighbor of mine here in River Falls, Wisconsin. That's where I hail from, and this was Ben Topple, and we have a little neighborhood jam that happens from time to time, and he introduced me to this tune. I thought this is absolutely a beautiful waltz, and Craig knew it, and then we added a kind of surprise third harmony part, which I'm hoping everybody will enjoy.
All right, we're going to be listening for that. This is Chris Silver and Craig Evans with the Cowboy Waltz here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
right, Chris Silver and
Nice.
Craig Evans with the Cowboy Waltz from their 2021 album Old Timeless Conversations, which we are revisiting today on the show with Chris and Craig joining us live, and all of you out there listening, enjoying the waltz, maybe with your Bell's Two Hearted IPA as Joe was doing.
Right.
Hey,
Perfect.
whatever works, right? Whatever gets your feet moving is a good thing. And you mentioned that harmony part, which is so lovely. And maybe I realize we haven't really talked about this. Craig, I'm assuming that was you on banjo, and Chris, was that you on both the fiddle parts, or
Yes, it was. Yes, and
and
guitar.
Okay.
But I love one thing I want to mention about this tune, and then of course almost every tune is this is something that Craig has going for him, is that he comes up with these really cool counter melodies. So if you listen carefully again, you're going to hear like there's almost a song within a song, and he's a master of that. And I was so excited when he sent me these versions, that we'd plug in, and it's like, wow, how did you come up with that? So I really enjoy that. It's a form of improvisation, but it kind of just, it's orchestrated, and if you listen, he's got oftentimes a melody within a melody that makes the song really interesting and strong, I think.
Yeah, I was hearing that banjo, and it was nice because even with the heavier two fiddle sound, like you could still hear that creeping in the background at just the right moment.
And
really
just these
nice.
walking down parts, that just you don't often hear in the world of clawhammer, and got me going, that's for sure.
Sounded great.
Yeah.
All I hear is harmonies. I mean, I love playing a melody, but I hear so many harmonies. It's like, oh, next time through, I'm going to do that. Next time through, I'm going to do that. And Chris was so solid on how he played things. So if picture two dancers, everything just works so well. And yeah, this album was just a joy to produce.
I love that imagery there of like you two kind of almost dancing through the stuff, and especially with this idea that old time music is really this communal coming together. I know that dance is also associated quite a bit with old time music. How does that fit in to this record? Are like dance to? I'm speaking from someone who knows just a little bit about old time music, but is super fascinated with it. But I oftentimes associate dance being part of it, and there is this dance happening musically and between the two instruments. But is all old time music also dance music, or what? Where do we draw that line? Just for my own reference, please.
Well, it's
go ahead.
It's heavily dance music. I mean, Chris and I love a good breakdown. I mean, we can sit and play fast stuff all day long because it just clips. Now, remember the Coat brothers when they talk about at the end of the phrase, hit the offbeat because it causes dancers to lift their feet when they're going around in a circle. So in addition to hearing harmonies, I'm constantly seeing dance. But not all tunes are dance tunes, because sometimes they'll sing about a tree or a valley or a river. But you have to listen to the title and try to put yourself into the mindset of the person who wrote the tune, and then see where it goes.
And also, depending on the timing, some obviously tunes would be more complicated to dance to, especially if you're talking about community dance. Yeah, exactly.
No crooked tunes in square dances.
Yeah,
That's the first thing they teach.
It's called square.
They call it square. I was thinking the same thing. That's
right.
great.
That's right. Well, folks are loving the music, and Chris asks, any plans to take this collab to the public? I know you guys both perform around. Do you have any shows or anything coming up that we should know about?
Yeah, well, Craig and I don't have anything in the near future, but we are planning some shows for the winter. And last year we played a number of shows in River Falls. I want to get to St. Paul, where all you guys are from, and St. Paul, Minneapolis, and do some shows there, because I tend to hibernate here in the world of Western Wisconsin. So anyway, stay tuned, I would say, and you can check out the website at Chris Silver Band or Old Time Conversation. We're going to get something on the books because I want to play more music with Craig. Doggone
it. Go both ways. Yeah.
I will say this too. You've given me a little tiny window to do a plug on a couple shows coming up, but one in particular. Craig and I have always been interested in all kinds of music, so I'm just going to plug a show on December 6th at Juniors in River Falls. I'm doing what I'm calling global acoustic music. So we're going to do music from around the globe, South America, Central America, Europe, and it's going to, be a really fun night, mainly a kind of a Latin jazz theme, but we're going to do all kinds of fun things in the mandolin and fiddle and so forth. That's happening December 6th, juniors in River Falls. No cover. So there you go. That's my one plug for that.
All right. Go out there.
Excellent.
If you're anywhere near River Falls, Wisconsin, this December in 2024, you got it. You can't miss this. I've seen Chris perform, and it's something to behold. So we'll link to that in our show notes as well.
And if you are just listening to the podcast version and maybe are later to the party, chrissilverband.com is where you can find out about all his upcoming shows and check out his other music. And we're going to talk more about a project that Craig has coming up. But first, let's get to another tune. And this one is Hunting the Buffalo. Is there anything anyone wants to say before we take a listen?
Most people listen to old time and think square dance music, as we mentioned. There's also a whole category called laments. And this is about, as the buffalo once roamed America, they no longer do as free, and we've killed off a bunch of them. So just listen to the music and then picture the title, Hunting the Buffalo, from what it was once, the love that may have been lost in the passing of time.
All right. This is Hunting the Buffalo. Chris Silver and Craig Evans here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
All right. Now that's an ending.
Yeah.
Isn't that a beautiful number, though?
So
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the great different parts. And I like how you section off and that kind of beautiful breakdown, strip down section. Really, really beautiful.
But the fun part too, and this is where open minds are really fun to work with. But we're recording and I'm playing fiddle and I'm thinking, I don't want to stop here. I just want to keep playing, And I remember listening to old time jams when I was a kid, and a lot of them went on for a long time, 20 minutes long. And I thought, I want to capture a little bit of that, and everybody's in a hurry these days, right? We all gotta, be to point B. And I thought, let's take a break and just let some of these tunes roll and see what happens. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this project is that, yes, there's some 6-minute tunes, and so what, have another sip. I don't know.
Just
Well,
that.
I know where it goes.
Especially with like a lament, you know what I mean? Like that is, it's a natural human expression, and
what's the
it
hurry?
can't always be confined in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Lament. Sometimes we need a lot more time to lament and have our feelings. So that is so beautiful. And if you are enjoying the music as much as folks are, we know because all the comments coming in, you can get this album. You can get the physical copy. And you can get that book, I believe, all of it at oldtimelessconversations.bandcamp.com. And beautiful, beautiful stuff. And again, if you want more to dig into these stories and again, these conversations that Chris and Craig had back and forth when conceiving the project, it's pretty cool. This is like Smithsonian Folkways level.
It really is. It really is. And there's, I'm kind of holding up some pictures. If you're just listening to the podcast version, we'll put some photos in the show notes so you can check it out at backcatalog.listeningparty.com. But there is so much information in this conversation. I really enjoyed reading through this. Again, as someone who's I'm old time curious right now, and it's something that I have a feeling I might be converting as maybe it happens to everyone at some point when they get the bug. But I got a lot out of reading the interplay between you two, discussing it, hearing your thoughts and your philosophies about that, and I think that is so much about what this music is. It's not just it doesn't just live in a vacuum or on a pedestal or on a stage. It's like we talked about throughout this conversation. It's a kind of a living, breathing tradition that evolves as people interact with it. And so I'm just going to say another plug for getting the physical CD. You'll get this wonderful PDF with all this great information. There's stories behind where the songs come from, including some great old photos. Now, there's some family history. Is that correct with some of these photos?
Yeah, those are kin. Now hold that back up again.
Okay. Yep. You got it. Here, let me, actually, I think I have this one. I can bring up on the big screen here for those who are watching. So why don't you go ahead and talk about it, and I'll bring that up on screen here.
One of the things I wanted to mention is you were eloquently pointing out the idiosyncrasies of music. One of the things we love most about human beings is their idiosyncrasies. If somebody's passed away, you go to their funeral. What do? They tell stories, and you laugh about them because this person did this or this person did that. It's the same thing with these tunes. Because when I'm playing with Chris, I'll hear Chris play a lick that he likes, and it'll come back again. Now, it's an idiosyncrasy to him, but I love it. It's an endearment. That's how we love people, and that's how we love these tunes. Now, the picture in the center on your left, the far left, the fellow with the banjo is my great uncle, my Uncle Clifford Slife. Cool. And he's holding a 5-string banjo, and he's holding his fingers as if he's playing probably a 2-finger style. And the fellow on the right is my grandfather, who died before I was born, Grandpa Weaver. But he's holding a mandolin, and my mother always said he had this beautiful singing voice, and he loved to sing ballads. And I said, "Great, Mom, what did he sing? What's the name of a tune?" And she goes, "I don't remember."
Oh, no.
But yeah, I know. But I know that he was into this music, too. This was taken around Haywarden, Iowa, about 1907.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible.
And I love what you just said, Craig, about this idea that, that these idiosyncrasies are what make the tunes special. And also that folks are learning tunes from other people, making their own embellishments on them. But what I love is the idea that someone will pick up this record and hear these tunes, and that's how they'll discover the tunes. And they'll say, and if someone says, "Oh, that's not how I play the tune," they'll say, "Well, Chris and Craig played it this way." And
guilty as charged.
I love that. No, but I mean, it's also like it's an archive, right? And that's what you were talking about, Craig, is that, you don't have any, recordings of the tunes that your grandfather sang because you didn't get to hear them yourself. But like, at least you're preserving these tunes that you two love and have played, spent so much time with and are sharing them with other people, because there's a real value in that. And I know, Craig, that you've devoted a lot of your time documenting and gathering this stuff. You made films, and I hear is there a new book as well?
Yeah, I've done about 200 films, so I'm trying to catch up with you guys for all the podcasts that you've done. But my job is to record somebody's personal story. How did you get into the music? What does the music do for you? In the process of discovering this music, I found the happiest group of people I've ever met in my entire life. Most of them are introverts. Almost all of them are artists. And oddly enough, they're quirky, bright. I can't figure that out either. They're also very neurodiverse. There's autism present, anxiety present, ADD present. But this group, it's like all of these idiosyncrasies, we love each other for who we are. So yeah, when I'm recording stories of people, I want to record everything that I can about them, because I want to save that for posterity, like you want to save things for posterity. Mm-hmm. Here's the Coat brothers. They're identical twins. And in taking a video of them, one of the things that I noticed is they were sitting there with their hands clasped like this. And one is one part of the egg, the other is the other part of the egg. It's left-handed and right-handed, but you can actually see it when you're sitting with the two of them.
Wow.
And, how can you not love these people? And I'm hoping to save this for posterity.
Wow. That's amazing. For those of you listening, we're looking at Craig's website, oldtimeconversations.com. We'll put a link in the show notes. And there, not only can you learn more about his upcoming book project, but he's got these wonderful DVDs that where he has conversations with North American banjo builders and conversations with old-time performers. So much great resources for anybody interested in getting into this, and so much wonderful stuff that's been preserved now, I believe, in the Smithsonian. Is that correct, Craig, that some of this stuff has been moved over there?
I've done about 200 films. I've done 3 different series. The first series on banjo builders, Smithsonian Folkways asked me for them, and of course I said fine. I was hoping that they'd take the whole series, but they can't stream. At the time when I first came out, there were DVDs, but they're not into streaming. So I'm hoping to find another home that can stream them. This is the book. And after I did all these conversations, I had to write a conversation about the conversations. So that's what this book is. Nice. It explains how I got into it, the things that I learned from it. It also highlights a festival called Clifftop, where 4,000 people from around the world come together to celebrate this music for 9 days. So 4,000 people, 18 shower stalls. Do the math. Be careful how close you sit to people in the last couple of circles.
Let's be honest. Bathing is not the priority right there. It's the tune.
No.
It's outdoors anyway.
Yeah.
No, well, that's very special.
We are so happy to have all of this conversation about conversations and all the music. We're going to try and squeeze in 2 more if we're able. But before we do, I just want to thank the people that have kept this show going for, as Craig mentioned, over 200 episodes, 4 years of conversations. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, Hetty, Sandy, neighbor Ann, and maybe you, if you want to join our Patreon community that has that supports the show every month, and also gets invited to these live tapings of the show. So if you want to interact with our guests live and get to hear these conversations before anyone else, you can join our Patreon community, and you can pick up one of those back catalog listening party pint glasses while they last. I know Chris is enjoying Zinfandel out of it. Again, you can put whatever you want in that pint glass. It does not have to be beer.
No.
And we are just so grateful to all those folks for keeping this party going from week to week.
Yeah, and it really is. It kind of ties in, I think, a lot to the kind of the mission of old time music and that community driven spirit that I'm finding in this record, and that's hitting so sweetly tonight. And so if you're out there and you're listening and you are wondering how to be more involved in this music, not only can you go check out the old time conversations that we've been promoting, but chances are there's an old time or bluegrass community where you live. It's remarkable. A lot of people don't know this, but Minnesota has a bluegrass organization that's been around for over 40 years called the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old Time Music Association. And it does so much for bringing festivals and people together. And so if you're interested in learning more, getting your hands on this stuff, I highly recommend to look wherever you live to see if there isn't an association or a society looking at bluegrass or old time music. And if there's not, maybe you're the one to start it.
That's right. And we'll put a link also to our local organization, the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old Time Music Association, where, again, Craig and Chris first bonded and met and played the music, and also to a special festival they have coming up. So we'll make sure to put that in the comments and in the show notes. But we're going to get to a couple more tunes if they're willing to hang out with us a little bit longer. The next tune we have is Greasy Coat. Anything quick you guys want to say about it?
Yeah, let Chris talk about this one.
All right. So
Chris,
this is a tune that I learned from some recordings from the festival. And I think, Craig, help me out. You were just there.
Clifftop
videos. I'm sorry. Space that out. So at Clifftop, there's an annual festival that happens. People come from all over the world. And this came from a video that I found on YouTube from Clifftop. And it just, the name couldn't be more fitting, Greasy Coat, because this is a greasy tune. It's fun. It's bluesy. And as we were playing it, I was playing with Ari. He was home with me, and we're in the studio playing with Craig's banjo. And we thought, how can we make this rock out a little more? So in the middle of the tune, Ari came up with this little AC/DC idea.
Whoa.
And, again,
Tell me more.
we're pushing the envelope here in the old time world, but you're going to hear it about in, maybe 3/4 way through the tune. Think about AC/DC when you hear a little chord progression. That's all I'll say.
It's kind of crooked.
It's crooked, and I made up some words, and that was fun. And I won't even tell you which ones I made up and which ones are the original tunes. Most of them were made up, but we had a blast with this, and it's high energy. And we had our friend Bill Golden play drums on it, actually, and that worked out pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. Well, for those watching, we're looking at a picture of Ari, Chris's son, and Chris playing on the stage at the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old Time Music Association's annual festival. And we'll put a link to Ari and all the great things that he is up to too. The next generation of bluegrass and old time music here well, I guess he's out there now, but we'll claim him as ours here. Is doing so well. And but we're going to get to the song now. We're going to give it a spin. This is Greasy Coat. Listen for that AC/DC line from Chris Silver and Craig Evans on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Sinners are gonna die. Chase the moon, climb the fence, by the farm, the money spent. Tell the teacher, tell the pope, I don't wear no greasy coat.
Fade out.
All right. I also love that you did a fade out, which
Yeah.
fade out is not common in an old timey tune. I love that.
And snare drum, right?
I love there's all kinds of subversive things for people who are purists about old time in that tune, you know, from the AC/DC bass riff to exactly and to the drums to the fade out. All of it. So
Did
great.
you hear the spoons?
Yes.
There were spoons.
And I also love that that the lyrical content of what's going on is kind of one of those classic kind of gospel-y, all you sinners bound to die kind of vibe. But yet you're like, we're doing all kinds of transgressions here, musical transgressions.
I kind of felt like you were wearing a greasy coat during that.
We might as well all go down together, is what I told Craig on this one.
I love that.
That's why we did the slow fade.
Yeah.
I love that.
Every time we hear a fade out, I always say, I'd like to think that it just went on for another 20 minutes.
Exactly. It might
totally.
have.
Yeah, exactly. There was lots of sinning and repentance having to happen, I guess, during that tune. Chris wanted to know, was that traditional clawhammer or sort of a hybrid Scruggs style in that tune?
Whoa, I don't know.
Who knows?
Somewhere between the drums and the spoons, some finger picks came out.
My teacher was Dwight Diller, and we had a falling out over how I played because I wasn't playing the way he taught me. But I still played the way he taught me. But he was a Mennonite minister, and he taught things a certain way, and he wanted you to do things a certain way. And I said, Dwight, did God put music in your soul? And he goes, yeah, I sure did. And I said, well, God God's telling me to play it this way. So is that okay? And I trumped it
Yeah.
with the God thing. So yeah, it's not a bluegrass thing. It's more a melodic thing, but it's kind of following up on an AC/DC. So I don't know if you could really categorize it.
I mean, how
It's
does
like, play what you
AC/DC play
feel.
banjo, right? I mean,
Right. So
Yeah,
I
if they want to
noticed.
play banjo, they go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was going to say, I noticed to just kind of follow up on what you said. You at times though will do a little bit of a roll. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel in a couple tunes you started rolling a little bit along with the clawhammer style. So could be
Well,
wrong.
I started with bluegrass. It's all cumulative, so
Yeah.
everything just kind of bakes around in there and comes out sideways.
Yeah.
It came from God. He's a holy roller. What can we say?
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to just say that, like, listening to this now with all this context that we've gotten from this conversation and this, like, there's just so many more things that I'm hearing. And if you're new to this music, I just implore you to go to pick up a copy of old timeless conversations, because I think, almost like classical music. On the surface, you hear it and it sounds like an ambient kind of like background kind of style of music. But the more you listen, the more you hear.
Mhm.
And the conversation is really deep. And so just before I know we're getting kind of close to the end of the hour, so I just want to do one more plug for folks. We got their Bandcamp site up here in the comments. It's oldtimelessconversations.bandcamp.com, where you can pick up the high resolution files and this wonderful booklet, and you're going to hear all the stuff that we're talking about, and also be supporting a couple amazing musicians and
And
humans.
if you really like what you heard, Bandcamp allows you to give a little extra, add a little tip on there.
That's right.
Let's fund the next Old Timeless Conversations part 2. I want to hear all the outtakes from those tracks. So, or a whole new set of tunes.
The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by EFS Publicity. Founded by veteran publicist, promoter, DJ, and musician Ellen Stanley, EFS brings an artist's perspective to the table, working to help clients get to the next level in their career. Services include national and international media campaigns, radio promotions, tour press, crowdfunding, grant writing, and more. Get a quote or set up a consultation today at efspublicity.com.
We want to thank everyone for joining us for this hour. We're going to squeeze in one more tune if you guys are still game. Chris,
you guys up for
Craig?
it?
Oh,
right.
yeah. Heck
Chris, have Chris tell the story.
Yeah. Well, just a couple quick things. If you get a chance to read this book, if you order the CD, this is a really fun. I was just looking at it now, and we had these long conversations that I think are kind of interesting about how musicians decide what to do and what to record and to what level of perfectionism we're going for. I mean, everything's in there. So,
And most of the time you don't get that, by the way. Most of the time it's all hidden kind of behind the screen, so no one really knows how you arrived at that.
What can we live with and what we can't? And if you ever want to know what goes in the mind of crazy old-time musicians, this is a great place to start. So this tune, March to the Kinney, Craig actually encouraged us, Ari and myself, to write a tune for the album, and that's exactly what we did. So I live next to the Kinney River. I can walk down it right from my house, about 8-minute walk. It's a beautiful river. It's a beautiful walk. And I take this kind of path with a steady pace weekly, several times a week. And it's almost a march down to the river. And it's where I'm, my meditation place, if you will. And I thought, this needs a song. So this tune is inspired by the beautiful Kinney River, tributary to the St. Croix River. And it is a march. It could be also, as Craig mentioned, kind of a lament. It's got a little bit of sadness and joy mixed into the melody. So this is March to the Kinney.
Awesome. So glad. We'll close on an original tune here from Chris Silver with Craig Evans on the banjo. This is March to the Kinney here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
What a beautiful tune to end on. That was March to the Kinney, an original by Chris Silver, recorded for Chris Silver and Craig Evans' album Old Timeless Conversations. And that tune is certainly timeless, Chris. That might be a new one compared to all these other tunes on the record, but
Thank you.
Feels like something that could have been passed down through generations. So
I appreciate that. And I co-wrote that with my son, Ari. We sat down one afternoon and came up with that tune. And he recently recorded that with Tim Stafford. And you can hear that in Tim's podcast through East Tennessee State University. So they have I'd say a more, I'd almost call it a little more bluegrass version of it, but it's it was cool to hear it that way. Yeah.
We're going to track that down, put it in the show notes, head on to backcatalog.listeningparty.com to hear that. For those of you who don't know, Tim Stafford, kind of bluegrass royalty, that's a big deal. And Ellen's cat thinks so too.
Yeah. She was more time for talking about
I know. Chris, Chris said, I knew this was going to be a great show. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Craig and crew, and agreed. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Craig. This has been a very special hour, something that I sure needed today.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this music just like it speaks to the soul. There's a reason why these tunes have been around with so many generations of people because they're so beautiful. And thank you for bringing your idiosyncrasies, your particular stamp to it. And
I love that we ended on the original tune because it shows how the river keeps flowing.
Exactly. Pick it up, folks. Again, Old Timeless Conversations. Pick it up at Bandcamp. Throw in a little extra money for Chris and Craig. They were just chatting during that last tune with us behind the scenes, saying they're working on volume 2, but that can only happen if you throw some extra bucks away. So it takes money to do these things. So make it a priority. And thanks to Chris and Craig for joining us tonight. What a special hour plus.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do, folks. It's our pleasure.
Ours too. And thanks to all of you who joined us today and anyone listening on the podcast. By being here and being part of this community, you are supporting independent music. Independent music is so important to keep the world spinning around and keep things in perspective. As my hat says, music is medicine. And every back catalog episode, I feel a little, my cup is a little more full. I feel healed. And it's not just the music, it's the people that are gathering to play it and listen to it. So thank you so much for being here. And just, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And until next time, we'll see you here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Thanks for joining us on the Back Catalog Listening Party. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, which helps more people discover our show and our guests.
And do you want to be a part of the live show, get a first look at upcoming guests, and receive invites to private online parties and live streams? Then join our Patreon community at backcataloglisteningparty.com.
Have a great week. We'll see you back here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party.